The NASDAQ is just 1 point above an all-time record close. President Trump's budget director, Mick Mulvaney, was on your screen exactly 24 hours ago during the show, defending the administration's $1.1 trillion budget proposal and defending some of its most controversial line items, one of which has to be the biggest border wall ever. The president is asking Congress for $1.5 billion toward the wall for what's left of this year, and then $2.6 billion in fiscal 2018, which, by the way, begins October 1st. And that $2.6 billion would be a sort of down payment. Look at this. Since all this spending talk started well before the election, concrete and asphalt stocks are up double-digit percentages over the past months. Right now, we're looking at just what they're doing today. But if you looked and you saw, they are up very dramatically. Right after the budget unveil, Mexican cement giant Cemex, though, opted out of bidding as a supplier to and for anything related to the border wall. The company worried about potential backlash in Mexico. But boy, many American companies are jumping to the massive task. No one more so than cement and concrete giant Marietta Materials. In his first interview since the wall billions were announced yesterday, I asked the CEO if the president's numbers are right on the cost of the wall and whether his company is anticipating huge windfalls. We're with Marietta Materials CEO and Chairman Ward Nye. Ward, I just want to begin with what happened yesterday. The president's budget proposal included somewhat of a down payment for the border wall with Mexico, about $2.6 billion to start. As you look at that, did your eyes bug out of your head? Did you start to think, wow, my company will be perfect for this?
Well, we're seeing a lot of infrastructure right now. The border wall is going to be a part of it. Part of what I think we heard yesterday is a down payment for 2017. So that might be a little earlier than people would have originally thought. Clearly, it's going to go into 2018. But what we're seeing, whether it's the wall or the FAST Act with infrastructure across the United States or very specific states in which we operate, we see an outlook for this year that's awfully attractive to us.
Well, when cement plus aggregate equals concrete. See, I get to show that off there. I know that now. Concrete is going to be very much at the center of many of these projects. The wall, though, Donald Trump has said he wants it tall, non-porous, concrete, pedestrian wall. Enter Martin Marietta, because you guys are down in Texas, so you're right there. But my question is, have you done any back-of-the-envelope accounting or calculating on just the cost of the cement and the aggregate plus everything else, the labor? How much do you see it costing to do this massive wall, which is close to 2,000 miles long?
We've seen what the down payment that the Trump administration has spoken about relative to the wall in 17, then going into 18. It's hard to know exactly how they're going to build that wall, how they're going to phase it. But what I can tell you is if it's going to be ready-mix concrete, it's going to take an enormous amount of cement. It's going to take an enormous amount of stone. And as we look in that Texas market, we are the largest provider of aggregates and cement, and as you said, ready-mix concrete.
It just looks like it would almost be handed to you if you put the bids in. Have you put a bid in?
Well, we've certainly seen some early indications of interest on that, and that's really the way that works. But remember, we're not going to per se build the wall. We're going to be the people who supply the materials to either the contractors or the subcontractors. So what will happen is the government or the state or others will reach out to the contractors, then we will hear back from them very directly.
You have a website that allows people to calculate the actual cost of materials for their particular project. Again, 2,000 miles long. Can you calculate, because he wants it a tall wall, how much concrete would be in there and how much it would cost? Because Donald Trump says it's a $12 billion wall. Mitch McConnell said it could be 15. But internal Homeland Security investigation, according to one government expert, said it could be 20 billion. It could be 21 billion.
I think it depends on how high they build it and how wide it is. It takes 38,000 tons of aggregates to build a lane mile of highway. Aggregate sells for, on average, today about $12 a ton. Cement's going to sell for somewhere on average in excess of $100 a ton. And ready-mix concrete may sell anywhere from $85 a cubic yard to $125 a cubic yard. So if we take those type of metrics, put it to a 2,000-mile wall, not all of which will be impermeable, but if you're looking at, again, in that Texas marketplace, it can be of moment to contractors in that marketplace very much.
Let's get to the $1 trillion infrastructure plan that President Trump has said he absolutely wants. Now, again, want and get, two totally different things. But what kind of role would you play in something like that?
Well, if we look at our business today, about 40 or 45% of our business is tied to infrastructure. Clearly, the biggest piece of our business is infrastructure. What we would see in our business is we ended up with the FAST Act that came in at the end of 2015.
That was President Obama's signing.
Multi-year highway bill. And so now what we're seeing is this infrastructure plan that could come in on top of that. Part of what I thought was interesting that we heard in yesterday's press conference is they're looking to come out with that infrastructure program this year. There was some talk earlier that it would come very much after we had been through health care and otherwise.
But you got to model this. Do you really think it'll be 2018 or 2019?
I think we can start seeing benefits of that in 2018. We clearly have not put any of that into our numbers in 2017 whatsoever.